Hey guys, I'm Kai from Lucas Lane Royals. Hope you're doing well, and in this video I'm going to show you how I built my koi pond. I built this pond earlier in the season during peak COVID period. Being this is my first attempt at a koi pond, I try to keep things as simplistic as possible. Before we get into how I built the pond, let's take a look at it. It measures roughly 10 feet by 6 feet and holds just over 1,000 gallons. Many koi keepers will tell you that you need a pond of at least 3,000 gallons, though I do agree bigger is better. You have to do what is best for you. One of the benefits of a DIY is you can customize it to your specific needs. For instance, I just want a small body of water to hold a few koi fish. I really like the sound of water as it spills into the pond, so I incorporated a spillway. And since I'm going for a really modern look, I decided to stick with straight lines and hard edges rather than the more natural look. This pond is half in ground and half above ground. The above ground portion is constructed out of concrete and wood, while the in-ground portion is pretty much just a hole in the ground. The concrete is optional, and I built it when I poured the entire pad in my backyard. Like I said, it's optional, so I'm going to kick this DIY video off with the digging. There was a lot of digging. I lost count how many trips I had to make with that wheelbarrow. It took us a day and a half of digging. The next segment is spreading out the underlayment and putting in a liner. Although this wasn't the step in my plan, the actual step was to build the sides up with lumber, but during COVID I couldn't find the lumber that I needed, and because it was going to rain, I had to install the liner early. I recommend you build up the walls first, but because this video is on how I built the pond, I'm going to show you what I did and in the order that I did it in. I filled the pond with water up to the concrete lip. The reason is so that the water weight can push against the dirt so that the dirt doesn't cave in. At this point, it's a good idea to jump in and smooth out the wrinkles. I didn't have much wrinkles, so I left it alone. I wanted to build up the size to give the pond more depth, and to do that, I went shopping for 2x6 pressure-treated lumber. I was only able to find them in 10-foot sections, which are what I need for the long sides of the pond, but for the short sides of the pond, I wanted 12-footers, which were out of stock. So I ended up getting 2x12s to mill down to 2x6s. In the next clip, you'll see how I measured and cut all the lumber. Wet pressure treated lumber is heavy and tough to cut, and believe me, there was a lot of cutting. But once all the lumber is cut, I can build up the sides of the koi pond. Ponds can be completely in ground or completely above ground, and in my case it's half below and half above, so what I show you in this video is a little bit of both, but you can definitely take that concept and build a completely in-ground pond, completely above ground pond, or do what I'm doing is, somewhere in between, a little bit above and a little bit below. Like I said, I had the concrete poured earlier in the season, so I did count on incorporating a concrete lip around the pond, but it's completely optional. You can lay lumber directly on the ground. All the lumber that I use are pressure treated for ground contact, and I think they last like 30 to 40 years. But elevating the wood with concrete or cinder block or bricks or anything you can find will prolong its longevity. At this point, the walls are done, but I didn't like the idea of the water just overflowing out of the koi pond during heavy rainfall, so I wanted to add a couple overflows, and I could always use those later on to add more filtration, such as a Bach filter. There's definitely other ways and probably easier ways to install overflows, but since this was an afterthought, I had to make do with what I already had. This is part one of my koi pond build, and in part two, I'm going to finish up with installing the liner, add a decorative trim all around the pond, and fill it up with water to get it ready for my koi. I'll put a link in the corner so you can hop on over to part two. That about wraps it up for this video. If you enjoyed it, please give me a thumbs up. If you're new to this channel and you want to be informed of future uploads, make sure you're subscribed and hit that notification bell. As always, thanks for watching, please share, and I'll see you guys next time.